We think that, 50 something years ago is a long time ago. It's not.
So this year at Sundance, we had two movies about the Jane Collective in Chicago in the 1960s. The Janes is currently streaming on HBO Max, and opening in theaters today is the narrative feature Call Jane.
Indeed, starring Elizabeth Banks and Sigourney Weaver and a really, really great supporting cast. First of all, though, if you've not subscribed yet, we'd love to see you. We are inching ever closer to our goal of building the channel to 20,000 subscribers and beyond. And we're heading into award season with films like this. And so we'd love to have you around. It would really mean a lot to us. So please do that if you have not already.
How does it work?
Joy?
Yes.
Get in. No, this is not a taxi. You sit up front with me.
Oh. Elizabeth Banks stars as Joy, a housewife in suburban Chicago in 1968. She has a teenage daughter. She's married to Chris Messina. She has just like the happy, perfect, safe housewife life, and then ends up getting pregnant. Does not plan for this, did not expect this. And then there are complications whereby she might die if she tries to go through with this, but is 1968. And so abortion is illegal. So feeling really desperate, she tries to seek one out and ends up finding as you put it, the Jane Collective is a group of women who came from all walks of life. And some have been activists and some have been housewives like Elizabeth Banks's character. Some were young women, many of women of color, many of whom were poor, and they helped each other secure safe abortions at a time when a lot of women were putting themselves at risk, doing it themselves, going to really disreputable, shady people, spending a lot of money and being like permanently damaged and worse because of it. And so it's about how these women looked out for each other. And it sounds like a total downer of a topic. And it sounds like an eat your vegetables kind of movie, especially given that, unfortunately, it could not be more relevant than it is right now. We think that, 50 something years ago is a long time ago. It's not. Things have kind of come back around, unfortunately, on this subject. And women's rights to choose for themselves and make decisions for their body have become, increasingly under danger. And so it's actually a really lively and inspiring movie. And Banks and Sigourney Weaver have such amazing chemistry with each other because she's prim and PTA and she makes cookies, and it'd be easy to put her in a box and stereotype her as just like this safe, wholesome housewife. But there's so much more to her than that. And she gets a chance to tap into that and use all those organizational skills she has as a mom and a wife and put them in this direction. So Sigourney Weaver is just a total badass and just free and earthy and sexy and hilarious. And the two of them are so different, and they kind of clash at first in some lively ways, but form a really cool friendship. And you can kind of tell who these women are based on the real life women who were part of the Jane Collective. Did you see the documentary, The Janes?
I have not, but I want to now that I've seen this movie.
Yeah, no, I have seen it. I reviewed it. And this Banks's character is definitely based on a woman named Judith, whose husband was also a lawyer, which helped them, along the way when they got into trouble.
Sure.
But yeah, they had more than just, the law to fight and society to fight. I mean, like, people had to pay off the mafia and pay off the police and move around. And it was like spycraft to get this done. And it's inspiring. You're
right. This is not a vegetables movie. I liken it to the hit movies that Jane Fonda's company produced and that she starred in like the late 70s, early 80s, where Coming Home, she plays a sheltered housewife who discovers like what the real deal is with Vietnam, or she plays a TV reporter who learns the real dangers of nuclear energy, or she plays a divorcee who learns about workplace discrimination, and so it operates in that shape of film. And I think that that's a really good way to approach a sort of like heavy political issue that people maybe don't know a lot about or don't know the history of. It gives you this conduit that, you have an audience surrogate. And so it immediately gets to like a human level. You're not dealing with like big, board meetings or newspaper headlines. It's about like, here's this person, here's how they are directly influenced. And then here's the change that they undergo in trying to like make things better for other people. So yeah, I agree with you. The performances are a lot of fun. This is the directorial debut of Phyllis Nagy, who wrote the screenplay for Todd Haynes' Carol. And, she's not doing a lot stylistically here to sort of really stand out. But I think as far as like just telling the story, she captures it really well. One of the other Janes is played by Wunmi Mosaku, who is amazing on Lovecraft Country. You know, for people who maybe didn't know this facet of history and are frankly, unfortunately, reliving it as we speak. You know, this movie where a hospital board tells, you know, Elizabeth Banks that she can't have an abortion is coming out the same week that Dr. Oz said that an abortion should be a woman and her doctor and local politicians.
Yeah, I trust them.
Yeah. So this is worth checking out.
It is. And Kate Mara is in it too. She's really good as the sort of saucy next door neighbor. But there is more to everyone here than meets the eye.
Yes.
Even the supporting characters are really nicely developed. There's some nuance to them. And so you really feel like you are in the trenches with them as they are trying to make all this work. There's a very moving facet to it with the use of note cards, right? Because the women who they call into this number. They don't know who they're calling. It just says call Jane when they learn about it. There is no Jane, but they're all Jane. Right. And so they have these meetings periodically where they go through the cards and they list off, here is this young woman. She is this many weeks along. She is this old. She can pay this much. And just, it seems so simple, but you can feel a life and a full story behind each one of those cards and the way that they distribute them among themselves to see who's going to be the best person to reach out to her and help her with this process. And it goes, if you've not seen the Janes, I won't say where it goes, but it goes in some places that are potentially very tense and very scary. And I think that Phyllis Nagy handles it with a lot of grace. It's a solidly made movie. Yeah, she's not doing anything extraordinary stylistically, but she lets her actresses act and lets the story speak for itself.
Absolutely. What's your number?
I am saying 7.
I also said 7. Yeah, this is really well done. And I'm telling you, Sigourney Weaver is having a year. She's so great in this. She's so great in The Good House. You know, she got Avatar 2 around the corner. I believe she's going to be in as well. You know, I know it's a very packed field awards wise for actresses this year, but I just, you know, want to give Sigourney Weaver a shout out. She's always dependable, always terrific, but I think lately really getting some roles that are allowing her to knock it out of the park.